In 1996, a cargo pilot named Marcus was flying over the Siberian tundra when his compass began to spin in a rhythmic, mechanical pulse. The horizon didn't look like land. It looked like a vast, white sheet of linen being pulled taut by invisible hands toward the frozen north. The air in the cockpit turned bitter and smelled of dry wool. Marcus looked at his co-pilot, whose eyes had become two polished silver buttons, reflecting a world that was being rapidly unspooled. They weren't flying over Earth. They were hovering over a giant, cosmic loom. A silver needle, miles long, descended from the aurora borealis, piercing the clouds with a sound like 1,000 violins snapping. It wasn't a meteor, it was a tool. The Weaver was repairing a snag in the atmosphere, and Marcus's plane was the stray thread in the way. He felt a sharp, cold tugging in his spine as the needle passed through the tail of the aircraft. The metal didn't tear, it integrated, the aluminum becoming a shimmering, translucent fabric. The plane was being embroidered into the sky, a permanent mark on a dark design. "We have to cut the line," Marcus screamed, but his voice was just a series of clicks and static. He grabbed a pair of emergency shears from the bulkhead, but the blades were made of ice. Every move he made was anticipated by the rhythmic vibration of the great machine. The sky began to fold inward, the stars arranging themselves into a rigid, geometric grid. Marcus realized that the void wasn't empty. It was a crowded archive of every lost flight in history, all sewn together in a heavy, suffocating tapestry of forgotten time. He steered the plane into a nosedive, aiming for a dark patch where the fabric seemed thin. As they hit the tear, the sensation was like being pulled through a needle's eye. The world turned a blinding, absolute white, and the sound of the engines became a human wail. When the plane finally landed on a remote airstrip, the ground felt like velvet. Marcus stepped out and saw that the grass was made of green thread and the trees were wooden bobbins. He wasn't back home. He had been moved to the Weaver's workshop, the source of reality. He found his own name written in the margins of a giant, golden ledger. Next to it was a small, silver hole where his future used to be. He realized he was no longer a man, but a spare part, held in reserve for the next time the sky needed a high-altitude repair. Years later, a hiker found a piece of a wing in the snow, but it was light as a feather and hummed with a low-frequency song. It wasn't wreckage. It was a discarded scrap of the pattern. Marcus was gone, but his flight remains the secret heartbeat of the Siberian wind. Today, pilots avoid that sector of the tundra, claiming the radio broadcasts a rhythmic, ticking clock instead of weather reports. It is the sound of the Weaver's pulse, a reminder that the world is a manufactured thing, and some threads are simply too strong to stay flat. Marcus is still there, flying a plane made of light through a sky made of silk. He is the guardian of the seams, the one who watches for the silver needle. He knows that the world is a beautiful, fragile quilt, and he is the stitch that refuses to ever truly come undone. Whenever the aurora glows a bruised, visceral purple, the people below lock their doors. They know the Weaver is active, looking for fresh material. The sky is a hungry archive, and every aircraft is just a silver needle waiting for the right hand to pull it through. If you ever feel your heart skip a beat while staring at the clouds, it might be Marcus signaling you. He wants you to know that the pattern is shifting and the needle is sharp. Don't be a loose end. The Weaver has no mercy for those who don't know how to stay in line. The story of the Siberian flight is a thriller with no exit, a mystery written in the frost. It is a warning that our lives are just material for a masterpiece we will never see. We're the threads, the sky is the loom, and the Weaver is always watching. The final stitch hasn't been made yet, but the needle is moving. As you look up at the stars tonight, remember that they are just holes in the fabric, letting in the light of a workshop that never sleeps. Sleep well, but keep your eyes on the seams of the beautiful dark.